People, Deluded, I'm back again. Thank you very much for watching and rocking and tuning in each and every time. Now, a quick vid, I'm not going to be here long, but Danny Ceballos, we know we've signed him on loan, would have liked a permanent option, but we signed him on loan. There's many things for it could be a positive signing. First and foremost, if he is only here a year for a year and he goes to Madrid, which he has said he wants to break into Madrid's first team and unfinished business and all of that, that's fine and dandy. If he can stay here for a year, get the bit between his teeth, kind of shows it down in Madrid they were wrong to loan him out, and many any people in the boardroom or fans that doubted his ability proved they're wrong. Have a good season at Arsenal. Go with more confidence to try and break into Madrid and achieve what he wants there. If he can play games, get his confidence and do that, and through that helping us get to the Champions League and whatnot, then it is what it is. It's been a year to remember. Ceballos, thank you for the memories. For me, I'm happy Ceballos is here at least for a year because he's young, he's enthusiastic, he's got a point to prove because he wants to show, whether it's Madrid or Arsenal fans or football fans in general, he wants to show what Danny Ceballos can do and that he's a top player. So if it's within his remit or it's within his best interest to play as well as he can game in, game out. Obviously, in terms of his skill set, lovely technical based player. I mean, I want to see him over free kick duties because he's got that in his locker. We all know he can play as an 8 and a 10. We all know he's a good dribbler, good passing range, and there's some good aspects in regards to tactics we can use. Obviously, him, Pepe, Lacazette, and Aubameyang in the same team can give us a lot of creativity. You add Ozil into that, maybe Nelson. There's positive issues for Emre to have. Obviously, not everybody has to play, but I do think, imagine it, people. Somehow, Lacazette, Aubameyang, if Pepe does come, Pepe, just get them in. Ceballos and Xhaka together, possibly Ozil in the 10, or better yet, Ceballos in the 10, Xhaka and Torreira behind him, or something like that, or Torreira and Ceballos and Ozil, or whatever. We've got some real creative options. Obviously, consistency, tactics, demands of the game. Not everybody can play, but there's some good options. At least for a year, Ceballos can give us stuff. You'd like to think Ceballos is going to play a substantial amount of games this season, probably 30 plus in the league, and depending on fitness and whatnot, a part of the Europa League in that. Because you did see reports he wanted to play over 40 games. He wanted to play 40 games minimum. Not sure if he'll play 40 games because of what Emre might require. Because you know Emre don't really care for main players and things like that. He likes to chop and change rightly and wrongly at times. But I do think he'll be a good signing. I think Ceballos will be a good signing. He's got the technical ability, he's got the tenacity. He's obviously spoke with Emre and whatnot, and we've got Spanish speakers and whatnot to help him have the best chance of adapting for a year or so. But I was speaking with mates, and if you look at Arsenal's loan spells, I'm not saying he's going to be a bad signing or anything, people. If you look at our loan signings or players Arsenal signed on loan, I won't say does it fill you with any confidence because I'm still confident about Ceballos. But if we look at it, people, Benayoun. Now, people look at Benayoun with rose tints, people. It was an okay signing. It wasn't nothing mad. Kim Kallstrom, yes, he scored the penalty, but if we're real, it wasn't a mad loan spell. I think Julio Baptista was a poor loan spell. I can't speak for anyone, but I think that was poor. Obviously, Denis Suarez, to be fair, looking back, was he ever fit? Did he ever have a chance to hit the ground running? Either way, he wasn't the best of loan spells. What other loan players have there been? I'm sure I'm missing out a couple names, people. And the only decent loan signing I think of recent years, people, is actually when Thierry Henry came back and gave us the memories against Leeds. So I hope Ceballos bangs. I think he will bang. But I mean, could it be a curse of? Could he be one? Can he be the one to break the curse of the loan spell business? And two, as good as I think he's going to break it, I think he's going to have a good season here and whatnot. But you do look at our loan signings for one reason or not. I don't know if it's stupid superstition, people. It hasn't quite happened for us. Obviously, he's got the number 8 shirt, so that you're inclined to believe the Aaron Ramsey role is going to be his. Obviously, Sculptor playing the pivot. For me, it's good issues for Emre to have, really and truly. We know we need defenders. We know how we defend home, away, in moments, and how we start games will make the difference. But in terms of creative aspects, there's options within the side now. If Pepe or Zaha or whoever comes into the side, I'll put an asterisk because we've been linked, but no one comes. That's someone to help Lacazette and Aubameyang. You've got Ceballos for a year that can help us and whatnot. The next key will be able to find balance. Obviously, a couple of young players will probably go out on loan. Obviously, with Ceballos signing, Joe Willock will probably feature a lot this season, but how much really features him and Emre? Obviously, these formations don't exactly correlate, but there's only a certain amount of attacking positions that can be occupied. There's obviously Eddie and Nketiah to go out on loan or possibly stay. We'll see how that one develops. Emil Smith Rowe, he's going to play long term as an 8 and a 10. He can play on the flank, so there is a role for him here. But midfield is quite congested. The flanks will be quite congested. His injuries robbed him of a decent year or a decent loan spell of Leipzig. Could he potentially go out on loan again, get some games under his belt, and come back next season with when Saliba comes and then we really start the rebuild and he's really to get it? There's even scope for Nelson going out on loan. Now, admittedly, people, I can see the logic, but me personally, regardless of a new winger coming in, I want Nelson to stay. I think new winger, whether that's Pepe, Zaha or whatever, together with Nelson gives us some better options. And if you're Mkhitaryan, you've probably got to roll your socks up. And I think Iwobi's decent, but there's competition for you two's places now of sorts. In that them two there are normally on the flank. So I'm keen to see it, man. Like I said, I think Ceballos will bang in the Prem, but it's just that when you look at our loan spells, we ain't really had a good loan player, people, off the top of my head. Forgive me if I'm wrong, really and truly. We haven't. So I'm keen to see what happens in that regards. I just wanted to offer some thoughts on a couple of young players, mainly the first-year scholars, people, that I've been trying to look at during their own pre-season preparations and whatnot. And first and foremost, I'm going to talk about Maziz. I cannot say his last name, forgive me, but the 16-year-old, he can play at left-back, centre-half. He's been getting a look in at 23's level. Me, personally, I think, again, it's no way, I can't say it. Let's say Maziz Ogungbo, I think that's his name, forgive me. I like him a lot. There's no way of knowing if he'll reach first team level, but I do believe at a club which really lacks out. For me, when you look at the scope of our attacking prospects and continuously year on year to our defensive prospects, there's not really a correlation. They're really a dying breed. For a team that brought through Tony Adams, we ain't really had a centre half or anyone come through. Obviously, there's Ashley Cole, but past that, you're there scratching your head. Kieran Gibbs can technically say Bellerin, but really and truly, people, you lot all know you're reaching and clutching at straws. I believe Maziz is decent. I think for a young man, he's fairly mature, very composed, decent passing range. And he's one of them you can tell he's a good learner. Like, if he's told to do something, he's not going to question it in a negative light. Apologies, people. He's going to do what he needs to do. So I've been really impressed with him. He's 16. Obviously, he got a look in last year. He's 16, so let's take our time, let him develop. Not expect too many fireworks, but he's one that I really like. I've never seen him prior to coming to Arsenal. I think he's a former Chelsea lad, but Jason Spra, can't say his name. Fairly composed defender. He looks like he's got decent height from what I've seen. Fairly composed. Very good playing out from the back. Sticks to his task. Reads the game fairly well. So I'm keen to see how them two really come on heaps and bounds next season, because they're technically both going to be first-year scholars. Obviously, there's Medley, but Ballard's gone on loan. There's Harry Clark in the 23s. If they carry it on, they could be playing 23s on a regular basis. And I'm saying that more so for Maziz, because I can't really speak for Jason, because I haven't really seen Jason. I've seen little bits and bobs these last couple months, and I am liking what I've seen from him. And to be fair, we've got Medley, we've got Nketiah, we've got Malcolm Eboe in the under-16s and with the under-18s at times. They've all come from Chelsea. Like, I don't know if they've been released or we've bought them from Chelsea or whatever, but that little tactic thing seems to be working. So Chelsea, keep swinging them our way. I really like Levi Lang, I known about him. He's formerly of Brentford. He's played for England at youth level, but I like what I've seen from him, especially the game against Barnet. I think he's a really intelligent player. He can play on the flanks as well as a couple other positions. I think he's not afraid to mash work and help his fullback out when he plays on the flanks. I think he makes quick decisions. He plays little neat 1-2s. An intelligent footballer. Obviously, I want to see more from him and let him develop, but I really like what I've seen from him. Quick thinker, good technical abilities, good runner off the ball as well. You've got Hubert Graczyk. I can never say his name. Let's bring up his thing, man. Let's bring up the pronunciation thing. Apologies, people. Graczyk. Forgive me, Hubert, man. Hubert. I like him a lot. I've watched him a lot, a decent amount, and I really like him as a keeper. Again, I'm not trying to put labels on these players because they're all young and developing, people. Who knows? But I think Herbert is a very good keeper, good shot stopper. He's 16, so I allow him. He's got a bit of growing to do, but he's got decent height, good reactions, good saves, decent collecting the ball from corners, fairly vocal. Not the most vocal, but vocal when he needs to be. Potentially could improve in that. Good at distributing the ball. Like I said, good shot stopper. So I'm really keen to see how he develops. He's only 16, so let's leave him alone and see how he gets on. But I like him a lot. And if you haven't realised, he's got a Polish last name. He can play for Poland and England at youth level and long term if he develops. Now, I'm sure you've seen Arsenal have had some decent Polish keepers. If you look at Fabianski and Szczesny, of course it's all different because he's an English. I think he was born in England and he's of Polish descent versus obviously they were brought over. And I think he's actually played for both at youth level. Either way, you know how it goes with Arsenal and Polish keepers, and I think he could be a decent one long term. Of course, it's different for keepers. You need patience and things, but I like what I'm seeing. I like our academy. I'm liking what I'm seeing from Miguel Aziz. You lot know me. I don't even talk about that man there anymore because he's sick. But I'm liking our first year scholars, and obviously with Greenwood, maybe even Saka if he plays in the FA Youth Cup because he's still eligible. I really think we can go for the FA Youth Cup this year. I want us to retain the under-18s division trophy, but I really, really, really want us to win that FA Youth Cup, man. We ain't won it since Wilshere. We obviously got to the final a couple of years ago with Vonte, Amici, Tyrese. We came against a good Chelsea side. There's no shame in losing to them. And I've actually forgot someone else out. A couple of times I've watched Arsenal's youth teams, and I'm sure this guy played against Indonesia's under-17s at Hale End. Stan Falteri, I can never say his name. Whenever I've seen him, I've seen him playing on the flanks. I like him. I think his playing style is a bit unique. I feel. Do you not remember when we had like all of them midfielders under Wenger, and it was a thing where we would play like a zillion midfielders, and it would either be Wilshere, Santi, or Ramsey. Someone would have to be right wing, and you could see that they can do it out there, but they're more comfortable inside. I think he's like that. I think he's very languid. He's very unique. He's very cultured. He's not the quickest, but he's very cultured in them positions. He's quite smart with the ball and things. And again, I'm not saying all of these young players can make it here. I'm not gassing them up or not. You lot know me. I'm just a man who likes youth football and likes to follow the youth at my club. So I'm keen to see what a lot of these players do, man, because I do think we've got a decent first-year scholars, and I want to go after the FA Youth Cup. I feel these first-year scholars together with Greenwood. Ideally, I can't lie, if I'm away from it, Saka shouldn't be involved because he's elevated over this level. That even though he's eligible, them opportunities can be given to another young player. But from a selfish point of view and someone that wants to win that trophy, I'd be calling on Saka. So I'll be looking at Saka, Greenwood, these first year scholars like Aziz. I think they could do it. Now if we still had Musa as well, we'd be decent. But I think they can do it, people, man. I really think they can do it. On that note, though, I'm gonna get out of here. So people, Deluded, thank you for watching and rocking. I'm out.